Hello, hello. I'm just going to check my audio, make sure you guys can hear everything properly. Hello, hello. Perfect. All right, so we can hear what's going on. Welcome to the midday check-in. I'm going to give folks some time to come into the room and for me to settle into the space that we're in now. Playing some chill vibes per usual. I'm gonna let my hair down too, y'all. Yes. Happy hump day. Happy hump day. If you're joining us, make sure that you follow the link that is at the top of the screen so that you can, when you post or when you comment in the comment section, I can see your name. Otherwise, it's just going to say Facebook user. So make sure you follow the link so that I can see your name and I know who I'm talking to when you comment and it doesn't just say Facebook user. So go ahead and get Facebook permission to do that. Okay. Good afternoon, boo. Good afternoon. Oh my goodness. Good afternoon to my auntie. Hey, auntie. What's going on? Hey, y'all. Yes, you guys are giving me life. Hello, welcome. Hey, Maria. Thank you, Sheba. You went ahead and made sure your name's going to pop up there so I can see your beautiful face in the comment section. Yes, what's going on, you guys? So before we get started, I want to take some time to do some deep breathing because I have been feeling overwhelmed lately, and I know I'm probably not the only one. So let's just spend a few minutes or just a minute just taking some deep breaths together. So if you will join me in that. We're going to start at the bottom of our breath, let everything out, and take a deep inhale. Hold at the top and release. Again, another deep inhale, holding it at the top. And release any anxiety or feelings of overwhelm or anything that is not of your highest and greatest good right now. Another deep inhale in. And again, releasing all those energies that don't serve you today, that you don't need, that are making you feel heavy or weighed down, releasing that. And finally, inhaling abundance, happiness, solitude, and contentment. And release it all out. All right, you guys, what's going on? What's going on? I see that your Wi-Fi is a little spotty, Sheba, but we'll make it do what it do anyway. We're gonna make it do what it do anyway. So, welcome to our midday check-in. I am so excited to have you guys here. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I was like getting myself together before we jumped on. So that moment of solitude, I definitely needed. If you needed a moment of solitude and you feel a little bit different after taking those deep breaths, I would love to see that in the comment section. Just give me a yes, girl. Affirm that you're feeling the same way I'm feeling with that deep breath session. But yes, so we are here. Welcome to the midday check-in. We are going to be talking about forgiveness, truth, and chocolate. And I know you guys are probably going to want to know what that is and what the heck am I talking about? How do those things align? They do. And we're going to get into it. We're definitely going to get into it. So first and foremost, I want to introduce myself. My name is Chantel Sarita, and I'm your eclectic self-love coach. And I'm here to help you find radical self-love and be comfortable and confident in doing so. So I want to make sure that you are coming together and you're able to give yourself the love that you deserve. And from there, you're able to fulfill and fill up other people's cup, because you can't fill up your cup from you can't fill up someone else's cup from an empty cup, right? So you have to make sure you're filling up yourself first. I've worked with gymnasts, dancers, coaches, and help them to find their way as far as their mind and how they think throughout their sport, and helping them to really like cultivate that in a way that gives them success. And from there, I've used those same skills and merged them into my self-love skills that I've learned after putting myself through a self-love journey, and I've become a self-love coach. So that is me. That's what I do. That's who I am. And just a quick announcement, our next self-love celebration is going to be on July 25th. I'm super excited about that. I've been keeping this going. This is the fourth one that I have hosted. And shout out to Yes Moms for helping me kind of bring that together and bringing in some of the honeybees to be able to really have a good time and love on ourselves. So that is July 25th. It is donation based and it is online. So anyone is welcome to join that. It starts at 5 p.m. and it usually goes about 2 hours. So it'll probably end around 7. And you guys are just going to have a great time loving on yourself. It's like a good mixture of self-care and self-love. Self-care Sunday mixed with self-love and self-care Sunday, or when you have fun on Sundays. I can't remember what the name of it is right now, but yes, so it's going to be a great time. I would love to have you guys. So go ahead and get registered at selflovecelebration4.eventbrite.com and tune in for that. Okay. All right. I want to break the ice before we do this. Did I forget to put that one in here? Yeah. So I forgot to put that in here, but I want to know what your favorite chocolate is. What is your favorite chocolate? I'm going to put this on the screen here to break the ice. What's your favorite go-to chocolate? I personally love Snickers. I love Snickers. That's my go-to. When I was a kid, I used to like what do they call Butterfingers, and I used to get those all the time. And Reese's, I used to love Reese's as well. What's your favorite chocolate? So Sheba says Rolos. Yes, that's a throwback, boo. That's a throwback. Yes. I've never tried a Rolo before. I've always heard of them, but I've never tried. Oh, and yes, just a real quick flashback. Sheba says these events are lit. Yes, they are. You want to make sure you pop in. It's going to be a great time. But yes, back to the candy. Maria says she loves Dove. Ooh, I'm here for that. I love me some Dove chocolate. It's like that rich chocolate there. How you know about Dove, Maria? How you know about that, girl? That's that rich chocolate there. I love me some Dove. And then Troy says Reese's peanut butter. Yes, that used to be my go-to when I was in high school. I love me some Reese's. But I don't know why I've just migrated over to Snickers. Asha, you feel me with that? We've migrated over to these Snickers, and you like Hershey's as well with almonds. I don't know about the almond, girl. I don't know about that, but to each its own. I love the Hershey's cookies and cream. But Hershey's with almonds. My mom loves almonds and all types of different like walnuts, all of that. So I'm sure she would love that one too. Yes. So thank you for breaking the ice. It's always good to kind of start it off with a little bit of conversation, something fun, something cute. And since it is National Chocolate Day, we want to keep that theme going. So yes, I want to check in with your homework. So if you were here last week, you did have a journal assignment to imagine your ideal closet and what's in it, because we did talk about Black fashion last time. So I would love to hear if you were able to write that down, if you had a revelation about your fashion that you didn't know before about your fashion sense. And then the next question was, how will you use your fashion to express yourself? And if you didn't do the journal entry, let me know. Girl, I ain't do it, but I'm gonna get on it and go ahead and take a screenshot of it right now. Asha says brownies. Yes, love me some brownies. I was just talking to my friend Dewan yesterday about I don't really like chocolate cake, but I'll eat a brownie. I think I do like chocolate cake, but I can only eat a few bites of it. But brownies, I can eat about 4 or 5 of them mugs. It's dangerous to have a brownie in the house with me. So yes, I feel you on that. I definitely feel you on that. So if you didn't get your homework done last week with your journal entry, journaling is so essential. It definitely helps you to get all of the thoughts out of your mind and get yourself, get it out of your head, out of your subconscious and onto paper. So even if you don't journal, getting it out in general, just recording yourself on your audio on your phone and just saying it. If you don't like writing, if your hands hurt or whatever it is, but definitely getting your thoughts out of your head is very important. Sheba says wigs, shoes, and bags unlimited. Yes, ma'am. Switch them up. Switch them up with your mood, right? That's the goal, is to be able to wear what I feel every day. So if I'm feeling eclectic, I'm gonna dress eclectic. If I'm feeling dark, I'm gonna dress dark. If I'm feeling like I want to wear all white, I'm gonna wear all white. If I want my hair to be pink and purple, it's gonna be pink and purple. If I want to look like a unicorn, I'm gonna look like a unicorn. So that is the goal. So I feel you on that, Sheba. I feel you on that. All right. So we're going to jump into this conversation. We are talking about forgiveness. We are talking about truth. We are talking about chocolates, self-soothing. When I say chocolate, that's you'll see we're going to kind of get into different ways of self-soothing in regards to forgiveness and truth, being able to be truthful when you've made a mistake, and that's with yourself and with others. And I'm going to be talking to myself during this as well, because it is a space of vulnerability. So we're definitely going to touch on that. And then forgiveness, being able to forgive yourself in those moments of making mistakes, and being able to forgive other people for their mistakes, because you want to make room for love and for all the things that you deserve and you desire. And then being able to soothe yourself when you do have these moments, because everybody makes mistakes. And how you soothe yourself plays a role in how you're going to feel about that mistake that you've made. So we're definitely going to get into that. My auntie says she loves Hershey nuggets. This is my auntie Sonia. Hi, auntie. She loves Hershey's nuggets with almonds. So it does. There we go. It's scrolling up now. And then Sheba says, yesterday I wore cat ears to keep things playful. Oh, that's cute. I can see you doing that. You're such a cute, quirky, like style, fashion sense. I love it. I love it. That's definitely fitting for you. I love dressing in a way that when I'm feeling playful, when I'm wanting to kind of get myself like in a good space, or when I want to channel my inner child. She says, "Hey, auntie." When I want to channel my inner child, I'll definitely wear like some SpongeBob or some Rugrats, or whatever it is that brings me back to that childhood, or green, because the heart chakra is green, which also aligns with your inner child. So wearing the color green is going to channel that inner child too. Asha says, I know it is big, spacious, and filled with everything I want, including a wine cooling and a lounge chair for those days of indecisive moments. Girl, this is why we get along, Asha, because we are on the same page. You have me at wine. You have me at wine. That would be so dope to have like a wine cooler little situation inside of your closet, so that you can pull from that and like sip on some wine and do your thing. Auntie, I can hear you. I can hear you, because I know how you sound when you laugh like that. So I love it. And then Asha says, and nails. And that's Moia. You have to get your nails, make sure you can do whatever you want with your nails, so you can do this. Because you have a habit when you have your nails done to talk with your hands a little bit more. Feel that. Uh-oh, Asha, you in trouble. Oh, she's laughing. I love it. I love it. All right, you guys. So now that we kind of have this light space, it's a little bit easier to get ourselves into a little bit more of a vulnerable space. So I do want to give you guys a heads up that the conversation that we have, we like to keep it authentic. So I like to share stories that I've experienced and things that I've been through in my life in order to give you the courage to do the same thing. And that's something that we do. This is an open floor. This is a safe space. And so when we are talking about truth and forgiveness, shame and vulnerability and all of the things come up with that. So we want to make sure we're creating and cultivating a safe space, a non-judgmental space to be able to have this conversation. So keep that in your mind and be open to sharing and being vulnerable, because it's going to cause you to grow. It's going to cause you to grow. She says, be fearless. Yes, I actually have a card here because I do like to kind of give myself, have conversations with myself throughout the week and have conversations with God and kind of figure out what I need for the week. And one of the things that came up was work through my fears. So with you saying be fearless, that's definitely, I'm aligned with that. And so I encourage you all to do the same. Be seen, celebrated, educated, empowered, and network. Yes, be seen without the S. All right. So now that we have that in our minds, in our space, we're going to go ahead and move into this conversation. So the first quote I have here, actually, I pulled up an article and I want to pull it up on my, I'm just going to pull it up here. I pulled up an article on Psychology Today. You guys know I love me some Psychology Today. Like, I don't know if you know, but now you know. I love me some Psychology Today. And so the first quote, and I'm going to switch over to this one. The first quote that came up in the article, first of all, the title of it is How to Forgive Yourself and Move On from the Past. So there's a lot of things that you may have gone through in the past that you're holding on to, even if you don't recognize it. It may be in your subconscious, but you are holding on to that. And this article breaks down different ways to be able to address that and move through it. And the first thing is being truthful and honest with yourself and knowing what's up. Knowing what's up. So this quote says, God may forgive your sins, but your nervous system won't. That's so deep. That's so deep because the body remembers your experiences. The body knows, even after an experience has already happened years ago, maybe if you haven't let it go, you're still carrying it. Right. So I have this book here. It's called The Body Keeps the Score. And it's by, Bessel van der Kolk, if I pronounced that right. But this is a great read, and it talks about literally how your body holds on to the emotions that you're feeling until you decide to let them go. If you can even be in the conscious state to be able to make that decision, because that's where that PTSD comes in and those different things come in. But you definitely hold on to it. The body holds on memories. Yes. And it's going to scroll. You guys will see the rest in a sec. But yes, the body holds on to it. So this book is a great read to kind of break down the different ways that your body holds on to this information. And it just really gives you like a great perspective on how the experiences that you have and the emotions that you've experienced and gone through are a part of you until you let them go, whether that's a conscious or an unconscious decision. But it gives plenty of research and all of the things. I'm just going to read the little brief here. A pioneering researcher transforms our understanding of trauma and offers a bold new paradigm for healing. So keep that in mind. So I would love to hear, guys, has there ever been a time where you experienced something in your life or like you made a mistake and you felt that mistake for an extended period of time? Maybe it was all day. Maybe you were feeling heavy all day. Maybe you were feeling like down on yourself all day. But have you ever experienced something like that where you've made a mistake and your body held on to it? So think about that and give me an example or a quick response. And I'm also going to share an example. But first, Asha says, so this check-in is just what I need. Literally working through everything you've presented so far. Yes, Asha. Yeah, so this is perfect. We're always in a line. We here, the scene team. We out here. You know what I'm saying? Scene team, behind the scene, all the scene are here. So yes, I'm glad that this is resonating with you and that you're able to kind of get something from it. So that's wonderful. So something that I've experienced. So I'm going to be completely transparent. I hate making mistakes. I hate it. Like, I hate it. And to the extent where my inner critic will jump up on my shoulder and be like, bitch, you did that and you made that mistake and you didn't do it right. It's like going off on me. And I'm like, but chill though, but I didn't mean it. And even then, like, I'll just join in the party. Like, you're right, I messed that up. Like, I did that. So an example, when I was working with, I was an assistant for an entrepreneur recently. And as I was working with her, I was learning a lot of the process as I went. And she's not located in Atlanta with me. She's in a different place. So I had to create an event in Eventbrite to promote her class. And in Eventbrite, it automatically puts my time zone because I'm here in Atlanta, but she's not on that time zone. So I didn't check and double check to make sure that it was there, that it was correct. And I just had it in my time zone. So it said that her class was at 7 p.m. instead of 6 p.m., which time it was in where she is. So she had 2 different clients show up to her class an hour late, and they bought a package. So they bought multiple classes, and this was their first time coming. And so they show up and the class is over. And they're like, well, it said on Eventbrite. So naturally she comes to me like, you messed this up. And the worst part about it is I had already made that mistake previously. And then it happened again because I overlooked it. So I beat myself up about that for a long time. And I feel like I still have a little bit of heaviness. Like we said, the body keeps the score. I still have a little bit of heaviness from that. So that's something that now I'm working on, like being more compassionate with myself. And we'll talk about that. So I don't want to dive too deep into it. But when I make mistakes like that, my inner critic is like, girl. So I have to learn how to be more compassionate with myself and listen to my critic and not be judgmental. Like, okay, that's how you feel. Cool. I'm still worthy of everything that I deserve. It has nothing to, like, making a mistake doesn't make me any less worthy, right? Same thing goes for you guys. Any mistake that you've made does not make you less worthy. You are still worthy because you were born. And I'm always remind you that you are still worthy because you were born. Asha says, my body be holding on to the past for too long. Yes. And, it shows up and it manifests in different ways. So like, when I'm stressed, it goes in my back and my hips. And that happens a lot with women. We store a lot of our trauma and our pain. I think they talk about this in this book. That's where I learned it from. But we hold a lot of the trauma and pain that we experience in our hips. And if you know me, you know that my hip injuries in gymnastics and like a lot of the things that I'm experiencing and trying to heal from now are in my hips. So when I feel stressed, it goes directly into my back. It goes into my upper back and it goes into my hips. So that's one way that my body manifests on things that have not been unresolved issues. Let's call it that. Unresolved energy. It holds on and I get tense. So Asha, when it holds on for too long, like, how do you notice that you're still holding on to these pains, or how do you know that you're holding on to the past? Like, how are you able to identify that? I would love to hear that. Sheba says, yep. I find myself repeating conversations over in my head. The double mind is the enemy. Yes. Yes, we're here with that too. Like, that's something that I'm definitely working on. The conversation, it's repetitive. It keeps happening over and over and over. It's like, yo, you made that mistake. You made the mistake. You made the mistake. You made the mistake. You made the mistake. But you made a mistake though. You made a mistake. You made a mistake. You made a mistake. And I'm like, I hear it. I hear you. Relax. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. Asha Moia and also agrees that she holds on to, or either are you holding on to things, Moia, or are you repeating the conversation? I'm not sure if you're agreeing with Asha or Sheba. And then Sheba says, I'm so glad you're able to recognize it. That's the first step. And that's what when we talk about truth, that's what we mean when we talk about truth, is being aware, being able to be aware and be honest with yourself. Like, I know this happens, because you can even recognize it. But if you're like, nah, but it's whatever though, then you're not being upfront and facing the truth. The fact that I have a very harsh inner critic, that's the truth, and that's something that I am actively working to navigate and shift into a different identity. Miss Sonia Turk says, I'm glad I got an opportunity to sit on the chat for a few. Now I'll know to tune in next week's session. Yes, Auntie, we are here every single Wednesday, same time, same place. So I would love to see your beautiful face or your beautiful profile picture. And yes, join us next week. I would love to see you. I'm glad you popped in too. So yeah, so holding on to those different things is gonna manifest in different ways, and being truthful with yourself about how you even manifest that in the first place. So yeah, I think that's huge. And with that, I would love to watch a video. I'm gonna put this in the screen. And this starts at 8:38. So this video, this is this person, her name is Lisa Nichols. She's a personal development coach, and she really has helped me in my self-love journey in building out what it means to love myself and all the different facets that it comes in, because there's so many different layers to it. It's not just about like taking a bath and it's so deep. So she definitely dives into that. So I want to let me close the little thing. Okay. Yeah, so I definitely want to have a conversation about what she discusses. So let's listen.
Just bold enough where you have to watch them. I want someone to have to watch you.
Oops, sorry. I mixed up my numbers. It says 8:38, but it's supposed to be, I put 3:38. So hold on. Give me a second. There we go. All right.
It's not about pardoning them.
Forgiveness of others is not about excusing their behavior. Forgiveness is about recognizing that when you don't have forgiveness, you literally are trying to feel in your body where love and honor and celebration should go. You actually have hurt and anger and pain. But the same thing stands for forgiveness for yourself. You can't love you where you have anger and pain. You can't love you and honor you where you have guilt. It's like oil and water. And there's so many things I've needed to forgive Lisa for. While it was difficult, what was on the other side of me forgiving myself, me having peace of mind, me opening myself up for new love. I've been so angry at myself for some of the decisions I made around relationships and money. But when I was able to forgive myself around people in my life who are no longer in my life. But when I was able to forgive myself, all of a sudden, more compassion and joy and peace opened up. If this is true for you, you've probably been beating yourself up for far too long.
Yes. So give me a thumbs up if you were able to hear that properly. Sheba looks like she had a little bit of issue. I'm not sure if it's the Wi-Fi or if it was the video, but let me know. So Asha, I'm going to get to your response in a second, because I definitely want to touch on that. But yeah, so I love what she talked about as far as forgiving yourself to make space to receive love. Man, I wish I like to do this little, an example of how when you don't forgive yourself, you don't make space for love in your life. So I like to do this thing. I'm just going to use my regular pen. This is your heart when you're born, right? It's a regular heart. And there's different things in your life that you experience that cause different damages to your heart. So, people in your life who you love and you trust, they may make a mistake, right? And they may do something that hurts you. And when they do something that hurts you, it punctures your heart. And then it punctures your heart. So you find out that Santa Claus isn't real. And you're like, what? You find out that maybe I should be careful because there's little ones here. But you find out things that maybe you didn't know, that your mom and your dad, or your dad is not your sister's dad. And then that's a little puncture. Maybe you find out that your hair wasn't as long as you thought it was, something small, but it's a little puncture. And you experience all these little things. And eventually you're like, man, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of these things flowing from the outside in and hurting me. So I'm going to put up this block. I'm going to put up this wall around my heart. because I don't want anything else to get in. So when it tries to get in, now it's blocked off. So now you're not getting this pain anymore. You're not experiencing this pain anymore. But guess what? You're not letting in the good things either. You're not letting in the love. You're not letting in the praise from other people, people encouraging you. You're not letting that energy in. You're not allowing yourself to be grateful. You're not letting in the blessings into your life because you have these walls around your heart. So if I had a dry erase marker, what I would do is I would say, okay, I'm going to learn to forgive myself. I'm going to forgive my parents for lying to me about this. I'm going to forgive my sister for lying to me about that. And you're erasing some of these walls. And then things are able to flow in again. So I like to give that little example because it shows like we build up these walls because we don't want to be hurt anymore. But then like Lisa was saying, you're not allowing yourself to feel the good feelings when you do that. You're blocking off the uncomfortable feelings, but you're not allowing the good feelings to flow in too. So now you're just SOL. You're not feeling nothing. You're just numb. And that's a whole nother experience, a whole nother conversation that we can get into, numbness. But yeah, so I love that example. I love what she says there. So, okay, I want to touch on a few things. Asha says, like Sheba, I get mental replays and talk about the past when I should change the narrative and allow myself to grow past the pain. My body holds on to memories everywhere, literally from my head to toes. And yes, I love some Lisa Nichols. Yes. So yeah, there's a lot of depth in that, Asha, with what you're saying. Talk about the past when I should change the narrative. Changing the narrative. That's a whole nother conversation too. Being able to change how you talk about things, how you see it. So like, rather than looking at something like, why did this happen to me? Shifting your narrative. How did this happen for me? Instead of saying, why did this happen to me? Like, dang, why did my, I'm trying to think of a good example here that I can shift the narrative on. Why didn't I make the dance team that I tried out for? Dang, that sucks. Why didn't I make the dance team? Rather than thinking about it like that, I changed the narrative to, okay, how can I learn from this situation? I didn't make the team. What does that mean? How can I learn more about myself? And how can I become a better dancer? Is it that I'm not a good dancer, or is it that this team wasn't aligned with what I need, right? So being able to change that narrative can change the trajectory of your life. Because if you say, oh, I'm actually giving myself as an example. This is something I've experienced before, but oh, I didn't make the team. I'm gonna just try harder. I'm gonna go for it. I just, obviously I wasn't good enough, so I got to go harder, and I'm gonna try out again. And that's just my go-getter mentality. But that could have been, if I would have shifted the narrative, that could have been, this team doesn't align with what you want right now. You could take some classes, but you should not train with them because they're not aligned with what the path that you're on. That could have been me changing the narrative, and then I would have did something else. And honestly, I would have avoided a lot of things if I would have went that route. But changing the narrative, that's so key. That's so key. My auntie, Sonia Turk, says, absolutely, I've learned how to talk and channel those energies in my workouts. Yes, talking to the issue like it's in front of me helps me. I gave that giant for that moment. Yes, I love that. I love that. Talking to it like it's in front of you. That's what I do to my little gremlin on my shoulder. When it's like, you made a mistake, you made a mistake. I'm like, so I made a mistake? So you're saying I made a mistake? Okay, I hear you. I mean, I'm not going to judge myself, having a conversation with that gremlin or whatever you call that energy that's telling you, your subconscious that's telling you made a mistake or you effed something up or whatever it is. Being able to have that conversation is huge. So I love that you do that and you have a whole moment. I need to change the profile. So you say, okay, bye. Yeah, I want to see your face next time. Asha says, I was kind of upset that my hair was not long. Yes, Maria, when I was a kid, I had this picture of myself in a ponytail, and it was like this long spiral ponytail, right? And I used to look at that picture when I started getting older and like around 10 or 11, because I think I was maybe 4 or 5 in the picture, and my hair was like here, like down to here. And so when I'm looking at the picture as I get older, and then I asked my mom, I'm like, man, because my hair never grew back to that length. So I was like, man, it was probably longer than that because it's like here now, but it was long. Like I was like, oh, it's so pretty. So I was like, mommy, how come my hair isn't growing back to the same length it was in that picture when I had that long ponytail? And my mom was like, that wasn't your hair. And I was like, that hurt my whole So I was like, it wasn't my hair. And I had to like forgive my mom for putting this fake pony on my head, making me believe that my hair was long my whole life. I think I found out about that when I was like 16. I'm like, dang, my whole life I'm wondering why my hair won't grow back to that length. Meanwhile, it wasn't even my hair. So yes, Moe, I definitely feel you with that. But like Lisa was saying, it's so important to forgive yourself so you can make the space for growth. Because when you're down and when you're in that valley moment, like we talked about in previous situations or previous discussions, that's a time where you grow. That's a time where you plant your seeds. So, okay, I just found out that wasn't my hair. Dang, that's crazy. Like, I'm gonna sit with this for a minute. I'm gonna process it. I'm gonna forgive myself, or myself for believing it, and my mom for telling me that. And then I'm gonna focus on my hair. Like, I bet I can get it to that length for real. I'm sure I can. So now I'm gonna zone in on my hair, and you change the narrative and you plant those seeds so something can grow from it. So I love that. All right, so let's move on to our next quote, and this is I know she's Brene Brown is one of your faves. Me too. I've been following her and reading her books for some time now, so I definitely love bringing this up. But vulnerability sounds like truth and feels like courage. Truth and courage aren't always comfortable, but they're never weakness. Vulnerability sounds like truth and feels like courage. Ooh, because speaking something that is true to you, it can be really tough because it's so deep within you that when you share it with someone, it's like showing something that you've never shown anyone else before. And that's courageous. Like Sheba was saying earlier, being fearless, not allowing the fear to sit in the driver's seat. It's sitting in the passenger seat, because we can't always get rid of fear. We can use it as motivation though. So taking your truth and sharing that is courage. And then truth and courage aren't always comfortable, because they're not. It's not comfortable to speak your truth. When I did have I was on that dance team, and I went through a lot of different I went through a lot and it was an experience that taught me that I need to set better boundaries with myself. I need to because I'm worth that. And it made me really sit in that uncomfortable feeling. And then it allowed me to share my story. And I wound up sharing my story with other people who had experienced the same thing, and really just coming out and saying what I experienced. And that, after doing that, before I did it, honestly, I was very nervous. It was scary because I went on an IG live and I told my whole story, and it was scary because anybody could see it. And that was me taking my truth and putting it out there. But the response I got back was so like, because when you share something that's true and vulnerable to you and someone relates to that, they're relating to you on a very deep level. Have you ever experienced that? Have you ever talked to someone and shared that with them, an experience that you've had or an emotion that you're feeling about something, maybe a breakup, or maybe in my experience, you dealt with a narcissist and they were being verbally abusive, and you tell them your story and they're like, girl, me too. I've experienced that too. You're not alone. I know what you're feeling. Like, thank you for sharing it. You're very correct. Like, have you ever experienced that, where you shared a part of yourself and someone was able to validate the fact that you're not alone in that feeling? I would love to hear that. I know that's a vulnerable space, but like I said, I gave you a forewarning, a disclaimer that this is going to be a vulnerable conversation. So I would love to hear about that. While you're thinking and typing, I want to show another video that talks about, let me look back and make sure I'm speaking exactly. That talks about not beating yourself up and really allowing yourself to make mistakes. And I won't go too much into it, but yes, as you're thinking about that question, let's go ahead and watch this video. And for this one, it starts at 288. Because these be long videos, but I encourage you to watch the whole thing later, because I love TED Talks. Like, I love TED Talks. They have really good ideas and very good just topics of discussion. This is where I found Brene Brown. Her TED Talk went viral.
You see, shame is more than just self-criticism. Shame is the underlying drive to it, and the root to many emotions we experience. Fear, sadness, frustration, anger, jealousy. Shame is also the underlying drive to many emotional and behavior problems we experience. Low self-esteem, anxiety, depression, suicide thoughts, addiction, violence, and racism. Shame is different from guilt. Well, guilt is how we feel about what we do. For example, I have done something wrong. Shame is how we feel about ourselves. Stupid and dumb. Well, guilt can sometimes drive us to do the right things. Shame is almost always self-destructive and debilitating. In fact, shame has now become such an epidemic in our lives. Many of us are probably familiar with this voice, not enough, right? See some of you nodding here. We constantly beat ourselves up for not being smart enough, not doing enough, not making enough contributions to our friends, our team, and our community.
So there's a few things that she talked about here. And I do encourage you to watch the whole video because it's, TED Talks are always great conversation. But a few things she talks about in here that caught my attention is shame. Hey, Tara and Asha, I'm going to jump in with your feedback in a sec. No worries about being late, boo. Happy you made it. So a few things that stood out to me is the idea of shame, because that kind of goes back to the conversation that we were speaking on earlier with when you make a mistake, you may shame yourself. And then it's even harder to talk about it, to share that experience with someone. So when you've said something that you didn't mean to say to someone, and now you're like, oh, I feel really bad about that. Like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Like, oh, I'm a terrible person for saying that. That is shame. You're shaming yourself. And a lot of times we're kind of taught this. We're taught this in society to shame ourselves when we make mistakes, or shame other people when they make mistakes. Like, shame on you. You should be ashamed of yourself. But really what that is somebody sometimes it's depending on the person, but we're going to assume that the intentions are good from this person. They made a mistake, and they shouldn't feel, and you shouldn't feel shame for making a mistake, because you're human. And a part of the human experience is making mistakes, learning from, growing from, and moving through to the next part, to the next side, to the next evolution of yourself. So you shouldn't feel shame for making mistakes. You should learn from them, and when you're consciously aware of them, grow from them, but you shouldn't feel ashamed for making mistakes. And that goes back into being able to even own up to this, own up to the truth, own up to what you've experienced, own up to what you said to someone or what you've done. So being able to do that is so key, and it's so healing. So here we go, Asha. Asha says, where did you go? Sorry, y'all. I'll be a little ratchet with my when I pop my lips like that. Okay, so yep. When I shared my journal entry at my last self-love celebration, the feedback and conversation was healing. Yes, because there was a moment where you shared something that was vulnerable to you that nobody else maybe had heard, or that not many people had heard. And then to feel support and encouragement from a group of women who have experienced something similar, or who encourage you through it. You wouldn't have experienced that sense of release and healing if you didn't share that story or share your journal entry. So you had to be brave. You had to put aside that shame. You had to be truthful and honest with yourself about it, so that you can step into this and have this healing moment. So yes, I'm so grateful that you were able to do that, and I was able to create the space for you there. That's awesome. She also says, I'm going to take pride and shame and make today the day. Fuck it. Throw them bags away. The lighter the load, the higher I fly. Third verse from the Be Seen song. Yes. I love, and we're going to talk about the Be Seen song, guys, in our last Wednesday of the month. So make sure you tune in for that, because we're going to have a nice discussion about that. But yes, Asha, you definitely did that. You those lyrics, I can't wait. we're going to get into that. But yes, that's so true. Throw the bags away. Throw them out. Like Erykah Badu, no bags. Don't be no bag lady. Let it go. Because when you're holding on to it, you're holding on to that shame. Your body's keeping score and you're tired. You're wound up. And you know what? I just want to briefly touch on this. I wish I had the statistics, but the statistics for Black women in America having breast cancer is so incredibly high. And a lot of that is because we feel like we have to be super women and we can't share when we've made mistakes because we have to be perfect. And we hold on to all of these different things we've experienced because the body keeps the score. And so you're holding on to all this stuff in your heart, right? Like I did earlier, holding on to all the stuff in your heart. And now it's going to manifest itself. And so it manifests itself in dis-ease. You're not feeling comfortable, holding on to all this stuff. So the dis-ease comes out and it manifests itself. So this is really direly important to share, to be open and to be courageous and share your truth and to share the experiences and the things that you've gone through and have somebody to listen to you and support you. That's why therapy is so key and important, because you're giving yourself the chance to let everything out. So important. So important. All right, guys. I definitely want to have a conversation with you as well. So I'm going to put up a couple of questions. First, it's National Chocolate Day. I wanted to talk about self-soothing a little bit before we jump into our conversation with just kind of ending everything on the conversation. So self-soothing. Self-soothing is a sense of making yourself feel comfort when you're experiencing something that doesn't feel good. Before we jump in, I see Tara just made a comment. The older I get, the more in truth I get. That's why I'm transparent now and it gives me power, and I hope it gives others power to share. Yes, you're really stepping into your truth. And Tara, I'm gonna give you your flowers with posting and being more doing lives on Facebook in the Yes Moms Facebook group, because I know that was something that made you nervous before. But the fact that you're stepping in your truth and you're sharing and you're doing so on a platform that you're not used to doing, you are creating another version of yourself. You're really stepping into that truth and really getting closer to your core. The more that you do things that are courageous and are fearless, right? That allow you to share your truth and to empower other people to do the same. So you are on the right path. Got to give you your flowers with that. You're definitely on the right path. So with self-soothing, it is a sense of being able to make yourself feel better when you're in these uncomfortable feelings. So like, for example, Tara, when you get ready to go live, I'm not sure how you feel, but for me, when I'm about to do live, even today, I don't like making mistakes. So like, I want to make sure everything is on point. So I'm like going through all of the slides and making sure everything looks good and it represents me well. And I'm doing all these things to set myself up. And then I get really nervous. Sometimes I get really nervous and I'm like, I have to calm myself down. So one of the things that I do to self-soothe is I hold on to my crystal. This is my onyx crystal. And I like to hold on to this and keep it in my hand to remind myself that I'm grounded. I know what I'm talking about. People are excited to converse with me, and I'm excited to converse with them. I'm sharing my truth. I'm sharing this information in a way to help other people, empower them. So I'm grounded. We're good, right? This is one of my self-soothing. Another one is aromatherapy. So I pulled up this article. You guys already know I love me some articles. But soothing your senses. Soothing your senses is one of the most effective tools we can have to get through the most painful and scary moments in life. While these techniques don't solve your problems, they do help manage fear and anxiety that prevent us from taking action. So there's a way when you're feeling like uncomfortable with sharing your story or sharing your journey, there's a way to be able to soothe yourself and using those three senses. So Tara says, I always take 3 deep breaths and go for it. Yes. We did. You missed it earlier, but we did some deep breathing before we started. I'm like, I'm about to bring y'all on this journey with me. We're about to breathe. So, so I feel you with that. That helps me as well. So there's a way to soothe yourself with all of the senses. Soothing all of your senses helps you to, again, like calm yourself down, and your nervous system calms your nervous system down. So things that you see. So a way of self-soothing can be changing the atmosphere, changing your room. Maybe you were in the living room and there's a lot of things happening in the living room that aren't like there's too much going on. You go in your room to change the atmosphere so you see something differently. For me, when I look in the fridge and it's super crowded and a lot of stuff going on in different places, that gives me anxiety. So a way for me to soothe it is to kind of just clear out the space. So when I open it up, it's nice and organized. So that's a way to soothe as far as your sight. Feels, the way that you feel, like we were just talking about with deep breathing, that's a way to self-soothe. Sound, so what you hear, even humming, like the bee, like our honeybees, that's a way to relieve stress as well, right? Listening to music, we've talked about that in the past as well. What you smell, oh my God, I love aromatherapy. I love me a good incense. Do any of you like aromatherapy? Do you engage in aromatherapy? I love candles. I love incense. I love essential oils. Today I put eucalyptus in my shower at the base of the tub, and I turn the water on, and then it just creates a beautiful aroma in the bathroom. So I love doing things like that to kind of calm myself and get myself in the space where I feel like I'm soothed. I feel taken care of, and then the taste. So this drops right into our chocolate day. I got my hot chocolate right here that I was saving for this and sipping on a little bit before we tuned in. But this is one of my self-soothing. Some hot chocolate for National Chocolate Day. So that is a way to self-soothe as well. We see here, Tara says, I just bought some in shower drops. Yes, it's a whole vibe. You're going to love it. And then Asha says, hot showers. Yes, I love it's steaming. Like when I say steaming, and I love when you put the aroma, the essential oils in there, and then you allow the shower to just go and just create this beautiful aroma. And I light my candles in there, and then I turn the lights off so that my candles it's like the ambiance, and that's another like sight way to self-soothe. So yeah, there's different ways to soothe yourself in these moments where you're feeling anxious or you're feeling like you're not able to express yourself, or you're feeling like I have to be this vulnerable in this space. So let me figure out something to do to soothe myself. So I love that. So let's jump into some questions. Let's have a little back and forth like we've been doing, but a little more intentional here. So I want to ask you guys a few questions. Number one, do you allow yourself to make mistakes, or does your inner critic take over? We've kind of talked about this before, but I would love to hear maybe from Tara. Do you allow yourself the space to make mistakes? Because that is major key. Not everybody, or I'm definitely like I said, I can be very hard on myself. So this is something that I'm actively working on. My inner critic, depending on I think it depends on the level of the mistake. So if it's like I made a mistake with someone who means a lot to me, I may have a lot more inner critic thoughts, as opposed to if it's somebody on the street that I said something and it didn't come out right. I'm not going to care as much, right? I'm not going to be as hard on myself. But I still do. There still is a little something in there. Like, girl, why you say that to that person? That was rude. My little Scorpio slash comes out sometimes on accident. But my inner critic, it just depends on the level of the mistake for me. And yeah, it's a whole mood. It's a whole mood with the showers, guys. I absolutely feel that. So yes, do you allow yourself the space to make mistakes? And that can be in any level. Like think about work, think about home, think about family, think about friends, think about your actions to yourself. Asha says, yes, I make mistakes a lot, but it depends on how big it was to beat myself up. Oh, that's Maria. Yes. And that's exactly what I was saying. It depends on the level. There's levels to this ish, right? So knowing like, when it's something that's, bigger, like maybe you forgot your best friend's birthday and it passed, and you completely missed it. Maybe it was a big birthday too, and you just completely missed it. And maybe you beat yourself up about that. That's the time where, number one, you become aware. All right, I'm talking to myself. Like that's when you take it, like the gremlin is here, and that's when you look at it like, okay, I see you, right? You become aware. And then you give yourself some type of self-soothing tool. When you're listening to that critic, don't judge what it's saying. No judgment there. It just is what it is. Okay, I hear you. Moving on. Now you apply one of your self-soothing techniques that we've talked about. Maybe you put on an incense or some essential oil. Maybe you go for a walk because you need to change the scenery up. and think about things in a different way. And then going back to what Asha was mentioning earlier, changing that perspective, changing that narrative. Okay, I forgot her birthday. Now I know I'm just going to put my best friend's birthdays in my calendar, and they just stay there and they remind me a week before. So now I know for sure, like I'm not going to be missing no more birthdays because my mindset, my narrative has changed. It's not the end of the world that I forgot. They still love me. And just reminding yourself that. You do agree about the levels as well. There's definitely levels to this ish. There's definitely levels. All right. Last question before we get into our journal for next week. Are there people you have yet to forgive or you will never forgive? Do you feel like there are people in your life who you haven't forgiven yet or you will yet to forgive? For me, just a quick example, I had a mentee that I worked with before I moved to New York. This was like maybe 5-6 years ago. And she came out for my birthday, and I had a situation where it was a person there who I didn't know that well, and they were threatening my family. And Asha, I don't know if you feel this, but this Scorpio energy, when you mess with my family or my friends, I'm gonna turn into a different person. So I had to have a little moment with this person and my Scorpio, because they weren't hearing me. That intense energy came out on them. So like, no, you need to chill because that's my fam and I'm not about that life. And my mentee was there to see that. And she had an experience with someone else where when they acted that way, it was triggering for her. I'm not sure what her story was, but to see me in that light freaked her out, and she just completely ghosted me. And that hurt me. And I think to this day, I still think about that a little bit like that. It wasn't because I know in my mind it wasn't malicious, the intentions that I had, but whatever trauma she had experienced, her story made her see me in a different light and made her distance herself from me. So that's still to this day, I know I probably still need to work on that. I've been thinking about that for a few days. So for me, that definitely sticks up. Tara says, I haven't forgiven my ex-fiance yet. It's still too raw. I may forgive him. I'm a Scorpio as well, so I don't know. Yes. I'm sorry, Asha, you're not a Scorpio. Tara is a Scorpio. Yes, I know, Asha. I can't remember. Are you a Pisces? Remind me. But yeah, thank you for sharing that, Tara. I know it's tough because it's very fresh. So give yourself as much time as you need, but it's great and a great step to know that you are in that direction, like that you're there, knowing that you're there. Like, I'm not ready yet. Knowing that and being truthful with yourself, right? Being truthful in your situation, knowing like, I'm not ready to forget this man yet. Like, it's too raw. So do what you need to do to self-soothe in the meantime, because it is a thorn that will eventually need to be, figured out. But in the meantime, in between time, you are listening to your Mary J. Blige. You're burning some incense or putting some shower drops in your shower to give you that aromatherapy in the morning or at night, and calming your mind from the long day of thinking about it. Because I know it's probably in your head. So giving yourself that time to like unwind and self-soothe. Don't mind my missing nail, y'all. But yeah, so thank you for sharing that. I think that's very important. And I'm sure somebody else relates to that in another way as well. It's it being too raw. Asha says, I have recently forgiven my dad and an old friend, but I still have to forgive many others, including myself. Yes. And forgiving yourself is a constant thing. It's a constant thing because you are with yourself all the time. So you're constantly making mistakes. So forgiving yourself over and over and over and over. That is what self-love is. That is self-love. It's giving yourself the space to forgive yourself and love on yourself. So I love that. And knowing that there's still people that you need to forgive, and forgiving yourself, having that awareness is very important. So I'm glad that you have that. And then last comment, because before we wrap up here, Tara says, I have therapy today, so we'll see. Yes, have a conversation with your therapist. I have therapy next week, and I'm very excited about it to get some things off my chest that I've been holding on to because this inner critic is a beast. So I'm excited to have that conversation with her. Also, look into, if you're into journaling, look into therapeutic journaling prompts online. When I was researching some different questions and journal prompts to ask you guys today, I found a few websites that have a whole process that breaks down forgiveness. I wonder if I still have it up here where I can't even share things in the comment right now because it doesn't allow me to. But yeah, definitely Google journal prompts to help with forgiveness. And it breaks down different questions and different series that you can ask yourself and kind of go in there. Yes, I thought you were a Pisces, Asha. I'm like, dang, why did I think Scorpio? But it's because the water energy. So yes. I love that. All right. So to wrap up today, you already know we have to have our journal prompts. And this is something that I like to do to make sure that you guys are holding yourselves accountable with the conversation that we have today and you're giving yourself time to reflect. So today's journaling prompt is, how does forgiveness promote inner peace? This is for you specifically. And then even if you want to branch it out into society and the community as a whole, that would be great too. But if you want to keep this individual, because we're working on forgiving ourselves first, think about that. How does it promote inner peace for yourself? And then a follow-up question: what part of your past do you need to forgive yourself for? And just kind of diving into that and speaking in your own voice, knowing that nobody is reading this. It's for you, and you only need to share what you decide to share, right? So like if we come back to the conversation next week and you want to share 2 sentences, I love that. If you just want to share the theme, I love that. But speak in your own voice, uninhibited, no holds barred. Speak in your own voice, okay? I am too. We are 10 days apart, away from each other. My mom and I never underestimated Pisces. Girl, let's go, Maria. And that was from Maria. I love. Yeah. So take a screenshot of this journal prompt and give yourself some time, set aside some time to journal out your thoughts and journal out so you can start working on your forgiveness. And if you want to dive a little bit deeper, like I know, Asha, this is something that you're diving into, make sure that you Google forgiveness journaling prompts so that it can break it down even deeper for you. The book is called The Body Keeps the Score. I know it's probably backwards on here. Oh, no, it's not. Okay. Is it? I can't tell. The Body Keeps the Score. And the author is Bessel van der Kolk. The Body Keeps the Score. It's on Amazon. So yeah, definitely check this out. I haven't gotten all the way through it yet, but amazingly, the next little chapter or section that I'm on is mindfulness, which is what I'm talking about in therapy right now. So I think I'm gonna have to bust this book back out. So if you purchase it, definitely hit me up and let me know, and we could talk about it, because I'm about to jump back in. So I'm about halfway through. It's a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff in here. So yes, so guys, I love. Another reminder, make sure you come to Self-Love Celebration July 25th. That's going to be at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Register at Self-Love Celebration 4 at eventbrite.com. We're going to give ourselves time to journal, to meditate, to dance. We're going to have words of inspiration. We're going to have community. So make sure that you tune in for that. And then Tara says, I will. This is a great prompt for me. Yes, ma'am. I'm so happy to hear that. All right. Thank you guys so much for another amazing midday check-in. I was nervous about this one, guys, because I have been working and I had to put this presentation together under a lot of quick, fast, and in a hurry, boo. And I did that. So I'm going to clap, snap, and shake that out. And I'm probably going to put that on my win board because this went really well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and for adding to the conversation, adding value. I appreciate you endlessly. Thank you so much. Make sure you follow me on Instagram _SheGotLove. On Twitter, Chantel Sarita. I'm not that active, but I will be on there soon. And then go ahead and follow me on Facebook, She Got Love. Until next time, guys, you already know. Let me see you type it if you already know. Let me see you type it in if you know what I'ma say. Let me see it, A. Let me see it, A. Bye.